Today I want to demonstrate how to do an experiment with coffee extraction. This is something that can be useful to you as a coffee shop owner or a roastery owner in order to lead workshops or demonstrations at your own cafe to add value to your customers. Today we're going to be using a clever dripper, which we have 3 of, a Kalita filter. I have an Ethiopian coffee that I've roasted just for this experiment. We have hot water, 3 scales, 1 for each clever dripper, a coffee refractometer and dropper, as well as a tasting spoon, and I'll be using an online control brewing chart, which you can also use a VST app on the iPhone or Android, as well as download and print one off. What's really powerful about this experiment is that we're going to use the same coffee brewed the same way 3 times, but with each one we're going to change one variable slightly. One of the reasons I like using the clever dripper on this is that we can control all the variables. We're not pouring by hand. With the clever dripper, we just put in the right amount of coffee, the right amount of water, and we let it steep until it's time. Then we put it on a cup and it releases down into the cup. That way everything is controlled except for the one thing that we're testing. This experiment can be run many different ways. One way is to control everything and change the grind size in each different clever dripper. Or we can have all the same grind size, but change the recipe, the amount of coffee to water ratio. Or we can change the brewing time. Or we can change the water temperature. Today for this experiment, we're going to change the recipe. In each different clever dripper, we're going to have a different coffee to water ratio. Okay, I have all 3 clevers set up, each one with 15 grams of coffee. The first one, I'm going to put 125 milliliters of water in. The second one, 250, and the third one, 375, giving me a different recipe in each one. You could also do this experiment changing the grind size and using the same recipe, 250 milliliters of water to 15 grams of coffee, but have a fine grind size in one, a coarse grind size in another, and your optimal grind size in the middle. Okay, now that we've finished brewing our 3 different coffees, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and taste them. I'm expecting that there will be a difference in taste. One will be stronger, one will be weaker, one might be sour, and one might be bitter. All of this is laid out on the brewing chart. Different parts of the chart say strong and weak, sour or bitter, and I'm going to taste these and see which is which. Now that I've tasted them, it's almost like there's 3 different cups of coffee here. You would never believe that it's the same exact coffee brewed the same way in each one of these cups. This one definitely has a heavier body. It's much stronger. A slight bitterness, but I actually really enjoyed it very much. This one is closer to what we were thinking our optimum balance would be. It is next to this one. It tastes a little bit weak, but then when I get over into the last one is definitely way too weak, and you can tell there's too much water in this recipe. The sweetness is really nice on this one, but it's lacking a little bit of body. Before the merger of the Specialty Coffee Association, when we had the Specialty Coffee Association of America and the Specialty Coffee Association of Europe, they each had their own brewing chart with a different level of extraction, which they thought was optimum. So Europeans tend to like a heavier, stronger coffee. So even though I've made this middle one as optimum, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the one that your customers would like the most if you demonstrate this experiment to them. Actually, with this particular coffee, I find this one the most enjoyable of the three, and if I were to calibrate my grinder and my recipe and everything to serve this in a cafe, I would definitely want it to be somewhere between coffee number 1 and coffee number 2. Now that I've tasted all of them, I actually want to use my coffee refractometer to see how they come out on the brewing chart. I've zeroed out my coffee refractometer using water from my filter. And now when I add the coffee, it won't be counting the particles in the actual water, but only in the coffee. So I'll do each one and then I'll let you know what my results are. So I've just finished measuring the total dissolved solids, or TDS, with my coffee refractometer. The first cup I got 1.8, the second cup I got 1.15, and the third cup I got 0.9, meaning there's more total dissolved solids in the first cup and less in the second and even less in the third. According to the brewing chart from the Specialty Coffee Association, we want somewhere between 1.2 and 1.4 TDS for optimum balance, optimum tasting. So it was obvious this one was a little bit, when we tasted it, we knew it was a little bit heavy. It was a little bit strong, but it actually tasted very nice. With this one, it did taste slightly weak and slightly underdeveloped, as well as the last one was just obvious. It was very weak. More watery taste than coffee taste. So somewhere between cup number 1 and cup number 2 would want to be your optimum brewing recipe. So just wrapping everything up, we've done a very basic, simple experiment where we've had a different recipe in each cup using the same brewing method and the same coffee. If you wanted to do this a different way, you could use the exact same recipe in each cup, but change the grind size. You could change the water temperature in each cup, or you could change the brewing time in each cup. And you would be able to evaluate both with your refractometer or just by taste and see that there is a clear difference between coffee that has been brewed optimally or coffee that has been brewed without effort. Thank you for joining me today in this experiment. If you'd like to know more or read more about what we do at seed2cup.coffee, you can check out our blog on our website. We have lots of interesting articles on everything in coffee, from agriculture to the cafe. Thank you very much.